This is for you.
Oh.
Why is Mark Allen Chau seen as a hero, where the person personally believes that what he did was stupidity? There were many unreached tribes that don't possess direct threats. He could have gone there, but why did he go there? Didn't he break the law by even going close to the territory?
Okay, that's was that, I think, John Allen Chau. The first name is
okay.
Okay, we know whom you're talking about. Yeah. Again, when Chau, let's call him Chau. Okay, when Chau, the news of his martyrdom, okay, and this, according to this question, some people think it's foolishness, came out that the believers were divided. But I know which direction I went for me, because I wrote an article towards the end of 2018 calling him my man of the year, because Time magazine announces man of the year or person of the year or gadget of the year or whatever of the year. For me, he was a great personal hero. And I also wrote an article which called Christians for chewing Chau. Think about his lifestyle, think about what he did, and something that we must hit the rewind button on his life again and again. I have clear reasons for doing so, because I believe God sends every person in this world, and there is a communication from God to that person about the place that he has for him and the people he wants to minister to. For me, when I was in Allahabad Agriculture Institute in North India, when I was a student, I was sat in that Christian college. I saw students sleeping in the chapel when the message was going on. I prayed about it, and very often when you pray for something, God will ask you to be the solution for that prayer. So you're worried about sleeping youth during a regular sermon, the modern youth, you can be the solution. So that's when my burden for the Google generation came. So I believe for John Chau, when he sat in prayer, God put a burden in his heart for those tribes. So I'm not saying everybody in this world should go and die as a martyr in North Sentinel Islands. That's not my point. But I don't want to doubt it when that man of God, who is now in heaven, rejoicing in heaven, he says, I want to take him at his word when he says, when I prayed and when I fasted and when I consulted there were some seniors around him. He worked in a particular missionary organization. Okay, he was trained by them. In fact, he received months of training. He read a lot of missionary biographies. So after all of that, he felt that this was the place he had to go. I think I want to take him at his word. And about breaking the law, for example, I always believe, there's a verse in the book of Acts, we must obey God rather than obey man. So man's law is important. We must pay our taxes. We must keep our traffic rules. But when it comes to a clash of God's law versus man's law, which is in effect, the government didn't want anybody to touch them. In fact, the Indian governments, I'm not sure what they were planning to do with these tribes, keeping them in isolation. But John Chau going and preaching the gospel, God's word says it, and he obeyed it. So I don't think that was a foolish adventure. I think he's a great example for us to go and preach the gospel to the people group in the place that God has called us to.